Welcome to the show,
Teeter.
Totter.
Man, this is with my pleasure, my absolute pleasure. He's not just our director. He's not just America's director. He's my friend. He's your friend. And he took some time out of his busy schedule to come on the show. Rich Russo. And we love you, brother. Thank you for doing this.
Thank you, Rich.
Welcome to the podcast, everybody. We got a special guest. My good friend, my director, America's director, the director, Rich Russo. Welcome to the show.
Thanks, Corey. Thanks, Mario. I don't know about, the director. That's a pretty good description, I guess. Thank you for that. Good to be with you guys. I'm glad, I know, Corey, you were busy. You've been busy, since the Super Bowl. We couldn't freaking get you, a day to do this. You guys were asking me. Mario was asking me, but you kind of started blowing us off a little bit, and then we finally got you, so I'm glad. I'm glad it worked out.
It worked out.
Yeah, it worked out.
So,
go ahead, Corey. You want to kick it off, bro?
I want to kick it off with some questions. I have a few questions. Before we get into the videos and other things, I'm going to start off with a simple question, a very simple question. You're one of the greatest to do it, but what inspired you to become a director?
Well, to be honest with you, Corey, I knew myself I wanted to be in sports my entire life because, I played sports my whole life. I was a big sports fan. So I knew I wanted to be in sports. And I didn't necessarily know television was the way to go when I first started, but I knew something with sports, maybe a team, maybe a league. And as Mario knows, I started at CBS Sports, and I was pretty lucky because back then you just had CBS, you had ABC, you had NBC. But for me, I started there, and I started as a researcher there. And then a broadcast associate job came up, and then I ended up getting that broadcast associate job. I had another job, an advertising agency, knew I didn't want to do that. But I was put on the Pat Summerall, John Madden crew and Bob Stenner and Sandy Grossman. And I graduated college. It was, this was in 1986 when my first year on that crew. And Mario knows all about this. And I watched what Sandy did, and I saw how he impacted a telecast visually. And that really, really interests me, and how he worked with the crew and how he worked with the announcers and the producer. And that part of it really interests me. I had no idea. I just came in. I just wanted to learn. After a couple of years on the crew, I said, boy, this is something that maybe that's kind of the area I would love to do. And like I said, no idea if I would have a chance, no idea. I was just learning the business. I went to Penn State, played lacrosse, as you know. And that's actually what got me at CBS. Was an assistant lacrosse coach of mine made a call on my behalf. So I was at CBS and got there. And so watching Sandy, I said, boy, you know what? That's something that maybe if I, God, who knows? I mean, like I said, I was a kid out of college. I was just learning the business. That maybe if there was some way down the line I could ever have even a chance to do that, that would be great. So that was really the first time. Even at school, I didn't necessarily know. Back then, you didn't have the type of broadcasting classes you have now, for these college kids. But I took a couple of classes and seemed to like it. But it was really getting involved in sports. And the other thing is just being part of a team. I said to myself, if you're not going to be a pro athlete, although, Corey, at some point I thought maybe I could, but that's a whole nother story. That's for another podcast. Why not televise sports and be involved in television? So that was really the first time I thought about, boy, if I could get into directing in some capacity. Again, I still had to learn the business. I didn't know anything. I had to learn from scratch. But that was, back in maybe 1987, 88. I was a couple years out of college. That indeed was probably the first time.
Wow. So my second question, you actually just answered it in the first question. I was going to ask, how did lacrosse help you in your directing career?
Well, I would tell you this, playing for anybody, I'm a really big advocate. Playing sports is really helpful for directing, even for producing, for anything you do, because you're such a part of a team. And as you know, it's such a team business. And just being able to be, as a director, instinctive and reactive and knowing the game, I think is really, really important. That to me is important. So that team aspect was always really, really important as far as that's concerned. So there's no doubt And like I said, I've just been involved in sports my whole life as a fan, as a player. And it's just really, you learn how to better yourself, being an athlete, being an athlete playing whatever level, even if it's youth, just that teamwork is such an important part of television. And as you guys know, that's a big deal. And it's, how to treat people, how to work with people, how to communicate with people. You do that, you're forced to do that in a athletic environment. And when you play in a college or you play at some level, that's a pretty good starter point for television.
Corey, I want to interject there because you're talking about teamwork. There was a play in the Super Bowl when Cooper DeJean picked off the Mahomes pass and took it back in for a touchdown. I'm going to show it here. We're going to see how this goes. Hopefully it plays. There we go. See, Mahomes is rolling out, and DeJean just picks it off, runs it in. We had a situation where Corey, as you know, Roos, made a decision on his own to stay with Sirianni. But I just want to let you know, right before the ball was snapped, he told me he was going to do it. So I kind of covered for him to get Mahomes. And I know it wasn't ideal. You know what I mean? But he did have an outstanding replay of it, and we followed it up at the end with, a shot of Mahomes on the bench. Eric caught me, a couple frames of him quivering his lip a little. That's what you're talking about with the teamwork, right?
Yeah, no, there's no question about it. I mean, listen, you get to a game like a Super Bowl, you have to have everything. You have to have everything covered. Like, as long as Mario backed up Corey in that situation. Now, Corey, your assignment in that situation was to stay with the quarterback. As long as in that moment, Mario knew that you were going there and backed you up, that would have been that's in that situation was okay. But it's also understanding that the more equipment, the more cameras you have, and this is really true, you can't try to be a hero because we're going to have those looks, those cameras, those shots from other places. So, for example, that exact play you're talking about, we had, from camera 24, which was our reverse camera shooting back at Philly. We had shot of Sirianni at that time. So, yeah, I mean, you don't want to necessarily be a hero. I mean, God forbid if Mahomes got hurt. Now it would have been covered. I mean, obviously, in that situation, we would have had multiple cameras on it. But yeah, I mean, I just think when I talk about it, that's part of the teamwork aspect.
Yeah.
It's just covering for each other, but also knowing your assignments, knowing when you're able to, maybe if you're breaking off assignment, we have to be covered somewhere else.
Right.
That's really important. Like if we didn't have a camera on Mahomes, that would have been really bad, regardless of if he didn't get it. Because Corey, I always talk about the subtleties and those pictures. God forbid Mahomes were to pull a hamstring or would have just pulled up. And it's those little things that, okay, he's going to get the crap kicked out of him. Yeah, we're going to have pictures. But if he's going to all of a sudden just pull up with a hamstring or pull up with a knee or a groin or something that is off the ball, you don't get hit, then we don't want to get screwed. We want to make sure we have those pictures and those pictures the right way.
Right. Well, I watched the game back again last night, and I kind of understand Corey's mindset at that point. He had gotten sacked 2 plays in a row. He sensed that something was going to happen, which is anticipation and using his instincts, but at the same time being disciplined is important. I think the bigger story at the end of this is that we talk to each other. We're fortunate that we use that channel that we have to communicate with one another. And we covered it. So, I mean, I just, I know it's not ideal to break off an assignment.
Yeah, no, totally. And listen, some cameras have the ability to be flexible. Some cameras don't have the ability to be flexible with their assignments, whether it's wide receiver ISOs, whether it's a tight end ISO. But the low cameras might have the fact that you guys were working together on the cart and knew that because that play happened, it was really quick. I mean, in my mind, I'm thinking, Corey's going to have the quarterback like that. But I also knew and I saw that Mario had the quarterback in that specific situation. So,
right.
Yeah, that's part of the teamwork.
Okay.
Yeah. So Corey, I won't rip you right now, but it's part of the teamwork. It's good.
Bruce, listen, I would have picked the ball up. I knew it was coming.
You knew it was coming.
I knew it was coming. A great athlete I am.
Because you're an athlete. I know, because you played. You played competitively. I know.
Yeah, my next question, I got three
more
questions.
You played in the Arena League, right?
Yeah, I played in the Arena League.
I know, because you haven't told anybody in 10 minutes. Anyway, go ahead, Corey. Go ahead. I love you guys.
So let me ask you this. Before I go to my next question, I got some good questions. Better athlete, Rich Russo, Corey Alberti.
Rich Russo. Next. You're a little younger, but that's we'll have a couple of races and we'll have a little competition at some point.
Bruce, I don't want your wife mad at me if you pulled a hamstring trying to race me in the 40.
No, I'm not going to pull a hamstring. Believe me, I'm not going to pull a hamstring.
All right, so let me ask you this question.
Go ahead, shoot.
Do you think, as a sports director, or the director period, you're a leader of men, you're a leader of a team. Do you think a sports director and a head coach of a professional or college football team or any team of that sort have similarities?
Yeah, I mean, I think you can listen. It's really important when I say teamwork with the production people and the technical people. I'm also talking about, like the producer and director, for example. I look at it. Yeah, I think the director is the head coach with the technical team, and I think also the director is a quarterback with the production team in a sense, working with the producer. And I think it's really important that you set the tone. Because the producer and director have to work together. I mean, in a really succinct way. And not only do they have to get along, they have to, believe the way the game should be covered the same way. And I think it's all part of that teamwork. But I think there has to be a respect factor. I think you have to get along with people. I think you have to. My dad always taught me you have to treat people the way you want to be treated. But obviously, there's a time and a place for potentially. You don't have to just get up. Like if something goes wrong in a game, okay, all of a sudden somebody misses his assignment. Yeah, you get pissed at that particular moment in time, but you can't just continually bring it up. You just got to move on because you're in a live game. You're in a live event. And I think that's part of, because listen, you're bringing all these different personalities together, okay, whether it's the production crew, the technical crew, whoever it happens to be. And I think getting along and being on the same page is really, really an important part of the teamwork, without a doubt. So yeah, I mean, in some cases, yeah, I think you are, head coach / quarterback. You could look at it in those two different ways because, the producer may be considered the head coach or the analyst, in the play-by-play because you're really there following those stories, and I think that's important.
So Roos, we know you can cut an amazing football game. You direct the Super Bowl, you direct NBA playoffs. You're an amazing director when it comes to sports. But what's your concert coverage like?
Well, to be honest with you, Cor, I like the fact, like at halftime, there we go, Lainey Wilson. When we get a chance to do these halftime entertainment shows, I really like it. I enjoy it just because it's different. We don't get a chance. I don't get a chance to do that often. And when we do, it's just something, it's something different. And it presents, its own little challenge because you have to really, you're blocking off specific shots. And really, like you're saying, when we go out to the field for the first time, we're really seeing it for the first time. Oh, wow. We'll have calls. We'll see how they want to storyboard because I'm not necessarily storyboarding how it's going to look. They're actually doing that, but we need to execute what their vision is. And we can give obviously our 2 cents and we can give our opinions on things, but basically we're going to, do it ourselves. So I enjoy it. I mean, when the artists like that was really, Lainey Wilson was super nice and I had never met her before and getting the opportunity to do that, with Gross. And I think Gross would feel the same way. It's just, it's a whole different world. The entertainment world, entertainment directing is completely different. So, the nice thing about what we do in sports is we have to react. We have to be instinctive. We have to, in entertainment, it's more about storyboarding. It's more about, okay, let's rehearse the cuts. Let's rehearse what it's going to look like. But from that standpoint, just the fact that we don't do it that often, it presents its own challenge.
Now, I asked you this early in the season, but you never gave me an answer.
I didn't.
What is the iconic snap that we do when you call the camera? I got to know.
It's something I'm not going to tell you here. It's just something that
there we go.
Internally, I don't. To be honest with you, Corey, I don't even realize I do it. So there's no real rhyme or reason. But you know, you get into it. You know, listen, you get in it. It's like when you're playing. You know, you get into playing sports. You know, right?
I do. I know.
It's just like, you know, you get into the moment. You know, and you should all be into the moment. And I think that's important. Whether you're doing entertainment, whether you're doing live television, whether you're doing studio, that's a whole nother avenue that you can take. So
it's different between artists each year. Like, you got a rap artist, or you got a country artist, you got a rock artist. Is it
right?
A totally different way of how you direct it?
I think you have to understand. Honestly, you have to understand what their vision is first. Okay. So how do they want to see it? What do they want? What are the important aspects to them? And once you understand that, and then you can piece around how you think certain things might look or should look. So yeah, it just depends on the artist, depends on working with the respective people. And it's just, it's working again. It goes back to you're working together.
So this is one of my favorite questions I wrote down. I remember my thing about my first Super Bowl with you guys. What do you remember most about your first Super Bowl? I can tell you mine, but I want to hear yours.
The first Super Bowl that I ever worked in any capacity or directed?
Directed.
Well, the first Super Bowl I directed was Super Bowl 45, which was in Dallas, which was the Pittsburgh Green Bay Super Bowl. To be honest with you, Corey, the fact that I had worked a lot of Super Bowls prior to that in other capacities, whether it's a BA, whether it's an AD, whether it was a replay producer, it helped me when I directed my first Super Bowl. I also directed some world feeds, which obviously is nothing like directing the game. So the fact that I was at Super Bowls in other capacities, it helped me going into that first game directing for myself. Now, obviously, it's different than any other job that I've done to direct, that Super Bowl. And I just, I just took it all in. Obviously there's everyone gets, just a little bit of a nervousness to them, especially it's the first game, the Super Bowl that I've actually directed. But again, I think you can't go into the biggest game you do uncomfortable. Like, you have to be comfortable with all the additional equipment, everything you add, whether it's all the cameras, all the EVS machines. That's really important. So even like that first Super Bowl that we did, we built up in the playoffs equipment. And then I felt more and more comfortable. And as we add equipment, I know we're adding equipment for certain reasons, whether they're down the line cameras, goal line cameras, replays, live reaction cameras, whatever they happen to be. And that made it more comfortable during the game. And that's the way I felt all the other Super Bowls that I've done, for the most part. I think what happens is, again, it goes back to the halftime you were talking to me. Like, we do that 6 to 6:30, the 30-minute pregame with the national anthem, with America the Beautiful. Again, those aren't things that we do every week. So those are things that have to be rehearsed. Those are things that have to be blocked off to an extent. And again, you're communicating. There's a certain, there's a certain visual or the way you think it's going to look. But once you get through that, and then that's done, and then the ball's being kicked, it's like, okay, this is what we do every Sunday. That's the way you got to think about it. You can't think about how many million people are watching the game, or it, but you have to treat it really like another football game. But it's good. But even doing like the anthem and America the Beautiful, I enjoy doing that because it's something a little bit different that we don't do every single week.
That's what that Friday before the Super Bowl is all about, really, basically, is that whole morning into the afternoon is about that rehearsal and getting all that stuff nailed down, because we don't ever do things like that. It's really important. Speaking of that, I have some footage of you on the stage with a few of our handheld guys at the Super Bowl. You remember this? Pitch black. You got me, you got yourself, Mike V. Crash come into the shot.
Was Was this rehearsal?
This is rehearsal day. Yes.
Yeah, I do remember that. Yeah, I got the pen. Good form.
Yes,
with
yeah,
the
the pen. Is it the Four Seasons pen?
Okay. I don't know what the hell Crash is asking me about, nor do I remember what the hell I was telling him. You know, I don't know why Crash was that involved. But anyway, I'm kidding. I'm kidding, Crash. Mike V's wondering, okay, I'm going to cover the Eagles, right? Because I'm a big Philly fan.
Yeah,
you got the Eagles, so be okay.
I got the Eagles,
Mike
right?
V.
Yeah,
I got the
Don't worry
Eagles.
about it. Yeah.
God.
Well, yeah. I mean, that Friday, that Friday is hectic as heck. I mean, it's really, but it's important. It's really important. You're going back and forth again. You're blocking shots, and
with the high school teams,
and then we bring in a high school team, and that's always really fun for the high school team. So again, we bring in the high school team because we're looking, at the different camera angles that we've added for the Super Bowl, whether they're down the line cameras, whether they're goal line cameras, wherever they happen to be. So we run some plays, and the kids love it. The kids get we'll like we had new graphics this year, so we'll go through some of the graphics. Kind of like a normal game for about 45 minutes. The kids love it, and then it's things like the introductions.
Right.
They'll one. Half the team will go to one team, another half will go to the other team. We kind of see what it looks like coming down the ramp, what the lighting looks like. So it's a fun time for the high school team. They love it. But I think it's important.
I love the new graphic look. People are hating it. I don't understand. Like, it's minimal. And
I like it a lot too. I think it looked really, sharp, and it's a little bit old school, but it's bold. I think there's just, a lot of, you see these new graphics where there's just a lot of, background, and it's almost like too much. And I think what they wanted to do is make it simple, and I thought that came across pretty well.
Get away from the Bloomberg news model. Basically.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah, because ultimately, it's about your pictures, and that's the other thing. You guys listen, and I'm just not saying this because you guys are doing this call, but I'm lucky to have the best crew in the business. And I know everybody says that they're the best crew in the business, whatever group they're doing, and that's fine. But the reality of it is all these big shows that we do, and all these pictures and all these shots that we get, every week is because of you guys. And it's because of the great EVS guys that we have, and all the men and women that work on the crew. And that's what I mean about teamwork, and that's what I mean about the head coach / quarterback. You're as good as your people. I mean, you really are, and I believe that it's important, and that's why you guys know me too. The communication process is always so important. If there's an issue, there's a problem, or there's an assignment that maybe you're not sure of, we just talk it through. Maybe somebody has something that maybe I haven't thought about. We all talk it through. It's just it's all part of the process. But the line of scrimmage is one of those things. Okay, and again, you get those false starts. You get, we're fortunate to have two carts. Now, some other crews may not have. They're not going to have two carts. They're going to have one cart. So they have to make a decision. Do you go down the line of scrimmage? Do you go to the yard to gain? Because that's going to be important to have that definitive look. So the truth is, and I'm always, to be honest with you, I'm always thinking about these situations all the time, just based on how we can get better. What are we missing? What are the holes? Are there any holes in potential coverage? And like Mary and I talk a lot about that stuff. And Corey, now that you've been on the crew, we talk a little bit, but yeah, like that down the line, field goal / punts.
Yeah, that came up in the Super Bowl. Which
came up in the Super Bowl. And listen, you have
the video of it.
Yeah.
So we it was later in the season where we basically said we need to cover this because we had a few situations like this. Correct? I mean,
halfway through the season. I mean, again, because also there were a lot of those calls being called, and the other thing is, we had Jawan Taylor there in normal play, which that was kind of a little bit of a story. But just that, if you're not right down the line of scrimmage, it's a little bit deceptive. So I think being down that line of scrimmage, because more and more of those penalties were being called. And that's the other thing. You look at the officiating. You look at what are the points of emphasis? What are the officials talking about and thinking about? And if this is also something that, let's make sure we have a camera down that line. And yeah, we altered it to make sure that we do. Now I have 2 carts, so I have the ability to do that.
Right.
You know,
Right. We're fortunate.
We're fortunate, right? Yeah. So,
Corey.
Go ahead, Corey. What's behind you, number 9?
Yeah, the best number in the world. My jersey.
No, I don't want anything, but keep going.
We got a little more footage. I got a few more questions, but we got.
Go ahead, keep going.
We got some iconic footage of you playing one of the greatest running backs, if not the greatest of all time. Roll that for me, Mario.
Hold on. I gotta find it. Here we go.
Hold on.
There we go. This had to be a treat for you.
Jim Brown.
Oh my gosh.
I'm not going to roll the audio with it because it's just all over the place. But this had to be like
that was
right.
That was a heck of a treat for me. Yeah, that was back in 1992, and Jim Brown was one of the greatest lacrosse players to ever play. Syracuse was playing, I think it was Towson in the NCAA championships, and I got a chance to. I was an associate. It was 92 at CBS. I was an associate producer doing features. And I was assigned to do a Jim Brown piece because he went to Syracuse for this piece. So if you want to know the story, so there was stills of Jim Brown playing, but there was no video of Jim Brown playing. And I said to myself, you know what? Bob Stenner, the legendary, producer who, as I told you earlier, that's who I started with. Back in 1986 at a college. He was good friends with Jim Brown, knew Jim Brown. He set me up with an interview with him, basically. And I did the interview. I flew out there with my lacrosse stick. I said, this is, maybe he'll have a catch with me. And then I get to his house, and then all of a sudden he sees me with the stick. I said, listen, I haven't seen a lot of video, and I just wonder if we're going to have a catch. He couldn't have been nicer. It was so nice, and we had a catch, by his pool area, and then I ended up interviewing him. And again, it was strictly a lacrosse piece, and he was great. And that was like for me, shoot, I'm having a catch with Jim Brown. That was about as cool as it gets, to be perfectly honest with you.
Right.
I mean, for anybody who don't know, Russo's he's a Penn State Nittany Lion. Yeah. What's the most goals you scored in the game?
I scored 10. 10 in the game. And I don't really like to talk about it that much. It happened on April 28th, 1983. and I was coming around the cage, and I did what's called a roll dodge, and I came to the crease, and then I fed it to this guy, Gary Martin, who then somebody else set a pick for me. I rolled, I came off, Gary hit me, and the shot was in the upper left corner, but I don't like talking about it too much.
Let me ask you, what was the team you were playing against?
We played, I'll be honest, we played Montclair State. But again, you play the teams that are on your schedule.
That's true. No,
it's true. I mean, I can't, they were on our schedule. And they, again, back then, only 8 teams made the tournament. It was a little different back then. But yeah, that's a record that still holds. Thanks for bringing that up. I appreciate that.
It's a record that will never be broken.
Yeah, I will see.
How about this? When the guy on the crew does this. Uh-oh. Remember this?
Yeah. Yeah. So basically what happened there, for the people that are watching, Corey saw that guy, went back, said to that guy, hey, I'm going to walk out. So when I walk out, will you pretend that maybe like I'm a player and like reach out to me? So that whole thing was staged because he wanted me to see somebody give him a high five.
Ruth.
Yo.
There's been plenty of times where I walk into the arena, I get ready to do arrivals, and they think I'm a player. And I got to tell the security guards I'm not a player.
Oh, man. Oh, gosh. Too good. It's too good. Too good to be true. Too good to be true.
Yeah. Now, speaking of crew,
yeah,
we're losing two legends this offseason. Losing Nelson and Donnie. Just tell me a little something about those two guys and what they meant to the team, and happy retirement to both of them. What did they mean to you?
They both you know,
this our meeting at the Super Bowl when we
first and foremost, you got to bring back that shirt. I mean,
oh well, let me bring that
really?
back.
Okay, no, you don't have to bring that back. First and foremost, you know, they're both great people. You know, that's the biggest thing. I mean, they really, you know, I've known Donnie, you know, obviously longer because when I was at CBS, he was at CBS, and you know, I take him. He's just an incredible person. He's just, you know, he's amazing at what he does. And, you know, he and I would have conversations during the week. And again, it wasn't just show up, you know, with Donnie. It wasn't just show up and each week, you know, show up at the game and then we'll talk. You know, we would talk during the week about stuff. And he's a legend. I mean, he's a Hall of Famer for a reason. And and I'm sure he's probably taken a step back, and sometimes we all get so jaded because we're going from game to game to game, play to play to play. He's got to take a step back and say, boy, he's been at some amazing, amazing events. And, you know, when you go back and think about it, he's been on the field for some of the greatest moments in sports television history. And he's not only been on the field, but captured those moments. So Donnie, you know, listen, I'm going to miss him immensely. He's also, you know, he's such a detailed guy. He's so, you know, and again, Nelson is the same way. He's so detailed. He's so talented. I would talk to a lot. You know, he came on late. I think he was with us, 10 years, 11, 10 years, I think was the number. And to be honest with you, you know, with Nelson, I knew him from NASCAR and I didn't know him really from football. And he helped me. Let me tell you a little Nelson story. You know, he helped me with the sport of NASCAR. I'll be honest with you. I directed some NASCAR way back when. And that to me was a challenge because I didn't grow up with the sport. I didn't grow up with it. I was a stick and ball guy, like you guys, you know. But NASCAR was not one of the sports, so I had to learn the sport, and I leaned on somebody like Nelson, who has been with the sport his whole life. I'm smart enough to do that. Well, maybe I'm not smart enough to do it, but I mean, in my own mind, I'm not trying to say that about myself. But I leaned on him to help me out a little bit with the sport, and he really did. And then when there was an opening that came up, you know, 10 years ago, Rich and I were talking, and we basically, you know, Nelson would be really good. And he's been such a team guy. He's another guy that takes so much pride. We're really going to miss those guys. Nelson every week sets up those coaches' cameras and takes so much pride in him and Andy making sure that those cameras are set the right way. And their abilities are through the roof. You know, they're so good at what they do. And Nelson approached me, you know, last year. So I knew, you know, Donnie wasn't really sure. But yeah, I'll miss those guys so much. I can't even begin to tell you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
it's a loss. You know, like you're talking about like Don Cornelli. I worked with him for 31 years. You know, I knew him almost as long as you. You knew him over 40 almost, right? I mean,
well, so you know what? When did he start? 80? Was it 88? Did he start?
88 or 89? Yeah.
So I think I was the B. Yeah. So yeah. So 88. Yep.
That's a long time.
And what about you? From that whole thing. So, and I with you, I knew, and I think it was a great move.
Yeah.
You know, but yeah, those guys will be missed, you know, sorely.
I love this crew, man. Like you said, it's family. It's a second family.
Yeah.
Family. You know, so it was a no-brainer. I'll never forget when I got that call from Russo. It was like 9 o'clock in the morning. Like, what? I looked at my phone, like, why the hell Russo calling me this early in the morning? I thought he called the wrong number. I said, no, wait. I said, okay, basketball's over with. The heck he's calling me for? I had Yeah, I didn't think I was ever going to hear from him again next basketball season. I said, well, he clearly probably meant to call another Corey. And they left me a voice message. I looked at it. Said, yeah, he ain't mean to call me. And
wait, did you pick it up when you looked at
it?
No, call me right back?
And I let it ring and let it go to voicemail. I let American Director go to voicemail for the first time, and it rung. And you left me a message. I heard the message.
Yeah.
I said, oh, he want to talk to me.
Yeah.
Now my heart's beating like this. I'm like, okay. I called him back, and it was it was the greatest move I made in my career. Yeah, I'm so glad you guys brought me on. It was the best move ever, and I think we got a lot of years together. Because Russo got a young man body. He'll be around for a long time.
Hey, I ain't going anywhere.
That's why I text. That's why I always text him. You work out, and then you
got to get it done. You got to get it done. You know.
6 a.m. Hey, anybody that's watching this podcast, he's in the gym at 6 a.m. Okay.
Anyway,
analyst. What's one thing you took from Summer Automatic?
Ooh.
I took a lot from those guys. First of all, I'll tell you, when I got on the crew out of college, I'll tell you, I'll never forget this. When I told my parents, here I am getting a chance in '86 to work as a second BA on this crew, and I told my parents, I said, "Boy, I better not screw this up, because you never know what's going to happen." But I'm on this legendary crew with Pat Summerall and John Madden. It was incredible. Listen, they were amazing. I mean, John, Mario knows John.
Yeah.
He was, first of all, he was a teacher at heart. He loved to teach the game, and he was a very loyal guy. Like, I was lucky because I got in his circle as a young, I was a young, nervous kid, out of college, just, humming, trying to, just kind of learn whatever I could.
I'm sure he sensed that as well, right?
And I think he sensed that, and he knew and I think Pat too. They knew I just was going to work hard and do anything. I kept my head down. I didn't, I wasn't an asshole. I wasn't, But John, he was a teacher at heart. He loved to teach the game. He was loyal to his people. He loved to bust balls. He loved to joke around. I learned, so he would quiz you. You'd have the depth charts. I'd have the depth charts in my back pocket. Just even when we were in meeting rooms, just make sure I knew names and numbers. Who's the left tackle? Who's the left guard? Who's, what's his number? But it made you better. Like, you realize, like, that's pretty good. And there's so many stories. I was able to ride on the bus with John, and it was just an incredible opportunity I had to work with those guys. And Pat was one of the nicest human beings around as well. He was not only he was just a very generous man, and just a good person. And the two of them were, no one will ever be like Pat and John. That's just the way it is. And when you listen to when you turn the game on, and Giants and Cowboys or Niners or the Bears back then, they were doing the games and the biggest games, and it's interesting to hear when, like, guys like Brady or Troy and talk about how they were the soundtrack to their careers. Now getting to work with these people, these guys, and realizing myself, I was a little, broadcast associate, then I was an associate director, but having the chance to work at CBS and then at Fox with them was like a dream. I was lucky as anything. So they were great.
You talk about Pat being generous. Like, I remember my mom was like, she was dying in a hospital, and we were in Dallas, and Bob Seiderman, I guess, told Pat, I had a limousine waiting for me after the game to take me to the airport.
Doesn't surprise
that was amazing. Like,
you
don't forget things like that. That's
it doesn't surprise me, because I don't know.
All right, we're gonna wrap it up. Thank you so much for doing this.
Right. You guys are the best.
Hey, we love you, brother. Thank you, Roos.
What do you? Huh?
We're gonna finish it out with this. You remember this?
Ready, race 7. He's down. Where's the route? And race 7. Take 7. Where? Here's the route. Where? And go in.
Ricky Zion's recording you and producing.
Oh, I know. I've seen the video.
Ready, roll out his elbow. Ready, 15.
I've gone by the motto, at least with me, there's always a camera somewhere, because you little shits are always up to something.
That's true.
We're always up.
Hey, Roos, thank you so much for doing that. We really appreciate it.
We appreciate you taking time out your busy schedule. We both know how busy it is, and man, we can't thank you enough. America's director.
Yeah, that's for sure.
We got to get to the next segment.
Yeah.
1st and 10. You ever wonder how those yellow lines at the first down marker is put on the field? Here you go. Check it out.
Hey, here we go. Now we went from one side of the truck to the other side of the truck. With Charles, Tone Loc, and Big J. Now, these guys do the 1st and 10. The yellow line is about as close to accurate as you can get, I would say, right? So that's a Pereira. So, Jason, tell us how this thing works on Sunday.
Okay, so we do, for the regular season, we do cameras 1, 2, and 3, left 20, 50-yard line, right 20. And essentially we have specialized hand heads, and we capture lens data, hand tilt, zoom, focus, extender, etc. Essentially we just draw a virtual field on top of the existing field. And then we chroma key it. Here's the field here. We chroma key it. It's essentially a green screen, right? Chroma key it. During the game, I'm just kind of following the ball and moving things around. And 1st and 10, and the box updates the data to me, so that information every play gets constantly updated. We do drive charts, and that's it. I basically the whole game pay attention to those 3 cameras. In the Super Bowl, we're going to do end zone cameras, 21, 23, and the all 22 camera. So we'll have 6 cameras for that. That's it.
Well, Tone Loc.
Yes, sir.
First of all, listen to my man talk. Tone Loc.
How you doing, brother?
Hey, get that man a voiceover contract.
I need it right now.
What do you do on the show? Let us know.
So I control the 1st and 10 line over here. So I'm pretty much tracking the spot of the ball with this blue line here. Whenever the ref spots the ball, this line of scrimmage right here. And that's the 1st down line right there, man. And we can't fall asleep in this position, that's for sure. But yeah, so all throughout the game, but moving and spotting it. If it's a 1st down, we just moving it right there, clicking it, automatic 1st down. If there's a penalty, you can right click and land 5 yards, 10 yards, 15 yards. Flip the field. The 4th down, let's switch that thing to the red. Let you know it's the first going for a 4th down right here. So yeah, that's pretty much the gist of it, man. We just trucking right along.
Let's go to Charles. Remember, Charles, there's only one guy. Charles, tell us what you do on the show.
I do the lines on Skycam, 1st and 10 lines on Skycam. So basically just tracking Alex and Vinny as they shoot around. They're pretty aggressive, most aggressive dudes in Skycam land. So it's pretty hard to track, but get it done. So I'll put the lines, and then I'll also do a tackle box if the quarterback's in the tackle box and doesn't throw it past the line of scrimmage. I just hit the tackle box and indicate that. That's what everybody thinks I do, but I run the lines.
All right. In fact, we brought you the 1st and 10. Charles, give me some. A man with the great overalls. Tone Loc. I don't care what you say in your prime. I would have took you out there. I would have cut back with Tone Loc so bad.
In your dreams,
Hey, Jay. We all San Jose State fans now, baby. Till next time.
Man, amazing. Technology is insane.
Yeah, that's a lot of hard work. You know, these guys are tracking the line and where the football goes. And
What else is amazing is Tone Loc's voiceover. Tone Loc, get your voiceover deal, man.
if anybody deserves it, it's him.
Yeah.
Can't fall asleep at this job, brother.
Hey, we love you, dude. Thank you for coming on the show. Next, let's go personal, no objections. Buzz, camera 5, near side card with my boy Mike. Check it out.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. We got our segment back, personal with no objections. The truth of the matter is what happened was the budget cuts came down, and I was the first one on the chopping block. But anyways, we got the show back. We got like $17.75, I think, in the budget. That's dollars, $17.70. So we couldn't get a great guest this week, but we got a good guest, a very good guest. It is a good guest, not great. But anyways, ladies and gentlemen, from New Jersey somewhere, Buzz Schwenk. Buzz, how you doing tonight?
You look like a flight attendant.
Well, that's fine. That's all right. Would you like anything to drink? Or you
I would.
All right.
maybe rum and coke, maybe.
In case of a water landing, you know what to do, right?
I do. I do.
Fantastic.
I listen every once in a while.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Here's the thing about the bit we do here. It's 1 to 17 questions.
Okay.
Somewhere in there.
Right.
I'm highly intoxicated when I write the questions, so I don't know what they are. You don't know what they are. I haven't shared them with you.
Nope.
I haven't done anything like that. It's one take. We do it in one take. We don't give you a chance to think about it or anything like that. Tell us, Buzz, what is your job with Fox?
I am a camera person, cameraman, and I run the cart. I'm on the top level for the playoffs.
Okay. Something that I want to touch on there, Buzz. HR department called me real quick.
Yeah.
You said camera person.
Yes.
I just want to make sure you identify as a person. Is that
Yes,
true?
I'm a person. Yeah,
Person. Fantastic. Ladies and gentlemen.
Occasionally
As
a dog.
Well, yeah, well, I saw that. I saw actually there was a whistle and you snapped your head around.
Yeah, I went, hey, Pavlov.
What's your hometown, Buzz?
Princeton, New Jersey.
That's where you're born and raised?
No, I was born in Rochester, New York.
Wow.
In the snow.
Pretty much East Coast time.
Yeah.
That's you.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Definitely.
One thing we have to start here on this, are you single or married?
Married.
That's too bad. We started actually a dating service on the show, and I've had 3 guests and 4 marriages. It's incredible.
Well,
Our track record is incredible.
That's pretty good.
Are you ready? Here we go.
Yeah,
you ready? Here we go. 3 questions.
Those aren't the questions?
No, those aren't the questions.
Oh,
No, Buzz.
Jesus.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right, you ready? Buzz, here we go. Personal with no objections. You can't object to any of these questions. All right, Buzz. I want to know your opinion on garden gnomes and why.
No.
And why? Do they creep you out? Are they creepy?
Yeah, they're kind of creepy.
Remind you of some of the guys you work with?
Yeah. I'm not even going to answer that one. But
no objections, Buzz. That you miss it. Yeah. Do they remind you of some of the guys you work
absolutely.
with? Yeah, I got you. Okay. That's good. Second question I have for you, Buzz. Let's say you were presented right here with a time machine. Would you go forward or back? Where would you go and why?
I would go forward 200 years.
Okay. And why is that?
Just to see what's going to happen forward. Back already happened. I'd like to see what's going on.
I would have lost the over-under on that, Buzz. I figured you would have gotten back to the good old days like you tell me about all the time. You know what I mean? I just...
Okay. All right.
All right. Speculation, you know. I'm an investigative reporter.
You are a flight attendant, so...
Investigative reporter, flight attendant, whatever. Doesn't matter. Still a union job, right? At the end of the day.
Hey,
That's it.
I love it.
All right.
Can I have more ice, please?
No. Here's the thing.
Got a blanket?
I want to know your favorite color and why.
Blue. I have no idea why.
Fantastic.
Yeah, I have no idea why.
Cameramen are such...
You know what? New York Giants.
Yeah.
That's why I picked it.
Cameramen are such deep people. They really are.
Extremely.
It's amazing. Hey, listen, folks, we want to give a thank you to the executives at Fox for giving us the budget back. We want to give a big shout out to Mike Cheney and Brad Davies. They're fantastic folks. And also on the technical side, we've got Matt Kenny and Ted Battaglia. Those guys are fantastic also. Want to give a shout thanks for the budget. We appreciate it. And we'll see you guys next week.
I need a blanket. You got a blanket?
Jesus Christ.
Please? You got flight attendants are horrible people.
Man. Thanks, Buzz.
Thank you, Buzz.
Hey, I got to thank you, brother. 2 years on the cart. I want y'all to check out this behind-the-scenes footage of our last ride, man. Thank you, brother.
Super Bowl's fun, man.
Hey, it's not a goodbye. It's just a see you later.
That's right.
Check it out.
Starting out with a 360 cam. Here's our positioning for the opening kickoff of the Super Bowl. On these Chapmans, you move a lot. We got very lucky with the game being in New Orleans because there's a very wide sideline, unlike Minneapolis or Detroit or San Francisco. You can see how hectic it can be on the sidelines as we're moving. Our driver, Mike, does an unbelievable job week in, week out. He navigates through all of the mess and always does a great job, always with that $1 million smile. Let's move to the POV of my viewfinder. In a play like this, I have one or two choices when the quarterback takes off. I can either zoom out, head to toe, or stay in tight. I do a little bit of both here. I just make sure that I'm tight for impact at the end on that hit. Coach Sirianni, one of the more emotional coaches in the NFL. It's always worth taking a look at him, get a react shot. He usually comes through. In the past, I've talked about getting down to the receiver on balls like this. Sometimes you just can't help yourself. It's just too perfect. It's thrown right at me. Some rules are made to be broken. Pop in there for that react. Play got reviewed and was overturned. Here we go with the tush push / brotherly shove, whatever you want to call it. Trying to outlaw it. I don't agree with it. I think it's a great play. Stop it. We'll get a shot of the Eagle fans reacting. The protocol is usually to go to the receiver and the defensive back. On this particular play, Hurts underthrows it and the safety picks it off in front of those two. To say that I was pissed off about the way I cover this is an understatement. Dejection. That certainly wouldn't last. Jalen Hurts hits A.J. Brown. My framing wasn't great, but I'll take it. I make the move to the bench. I find Mahomes. He didn't have a great day. I don't feel sorry for him. It's all over. Rough day for the Chiefs. Post-game at the Super Bowl is usually a mess. This year, the NFL did an excellent job getting all the staging out on time. They actually had the proper security where they needed to be, and they were checking credentials, and I can't say that I've done a Super Bowl where they've done a better job. In the past, when we've had to make moves like this to get out onto the field, we'd be dodging people left and right. We had the proper security. These guys were awesome. A big thank you has to go out to the NFL for organizing this properly, the security staff, and also our operations team for getting us the appropriate amount of people to work with us and make things run smoothly. At this point, as a camera operator, just thinking, grab the emotional shots. You see the coach crying, emotion, the trophy. Once they get the confetti cannon going, it just makes the shots, prettier. Yep, season's over.
Good seats. All right.
I can't believe it, man. That was our last ride. That was fun, man.
These cameras are amazing.
Yeah.
Some of the stuff that they can do, it's amazing what it looks like. It's so clear, the clarity, and it's really a lot of fun.
Can't get more front row access than that.
No.
I think we got the best seats in the house.
No question about it. Didn't Gronk say that to us?
Yeah.
Yeah, these guys have the best seats in the house.
Yeah. But, man, this next star that's coming on the show, whew, the inspiration I got when he talked to us in the compound, I was ready to run through a wall.
Yeah.
Hey, you're a star, brother. You're a star in your first career. You're going to be an absolute star in your second career.
This guy is going to be a big star in media. I don't know if his playing days are over or not, but once he's done, you can look out for him because he's going to be the man.
We can use a mentor. We can use a mentor for Penix.
Yeah, that would actually be a good spot for him. Yeah.
Come to Atlanta. We love you, brother.
Jameis Winston.
Check it out.
Jameis Winston. Yeah. I'm so happy and grateful to address the best media crew in the world. All right? Yeah. You all know what Fox is capable of doing with their events. No one can compete with Fox. And it is because of you and the tireless hours and work that you put in every single day. But just stay with me for a moment. There is no day bigger than this day, because today is the only day that we have. The preparation, the work, the desire to be great is already instilled in you. That's why you outside. Listen to me talk right now. I have no idea what you do professionally, but I do know that you are all world class at what you do, right? I might not know your individual name, but I do know that we all have a unique responsibility to be the best versions of ourselves right now, because all that we have is what? Right now, right? Time is consistently ticking. So the time is always now. So please embrace this amazing moment. We are in New Orleans, y'all, the most vibrant city in the great country of America. You are the reason that this is going to be the greatest Super Bowl production of all time. Think about it that way. When you're going through a tough time, when you're like, oh man, I work long hours. I had to build this entire media city just to go to work. I had to walk 2 miles because I forgot my battery pack. My shot is not as clear as I want it to be. My writers are late. All these things come together just like gumbo. So make sure your unique spice, your unique ingredients is to the best it possibly can be. I believe in you, believe in yourself, and let's make an event of a lifetime on Super Bowl Sunday for Fox. Who with me? Yeah. For the people that are non-believers, it's like, why do they have this guy standing up? Don't worry about it. Still be your best, okay? I love y'all, and I don't know you, okay? It's from the kindness of my heart. I'm thankful for you guys. I wish I could be in there. Oh, actually, I am working with you guys. All of my teammates, let's get to work.
Man, hey, got me pumped.
Yeah.
Thanks, Jameis.
If you're not fired up after that, there's no hope for you.
Thank you for taking the time out of your schedule to come and talk to us and get us ready for this game, man. I think I can speak for everybody that listened to you that morning, man. We appreciate it. We was motivated, and we was ready to go.
Yeah, he had me fired up.
He had me fired up too.
We're going to close with a segment that aired on the pregame show during the Super Bowl. Corey had the pleasure of riding on the cart with Gronk. How was that?
That was fun, man.
Yeah, it was fun.
I think Gronk was a little nervous, but he did a good job, man.
He did a really good job.
What? Hey, if you don't like doing television no more, Gronk, you come always hang with us on the camera side of things. We'd love to have you, brother.
It's a lot of fun.
We'd love to hang with you.
Going to be inside. All right. I'm here with my teammates, another one of our teammates, Rob Gronkowski. He does it all, this guy's commercials, features, and earlier this week, he picked up another job. Look at him, being a cameraman. What do you think, Jules?
That's just Robbie.
And now he's inside the dome. And of course, leave it to Gronk.
Slow down, brother. Slow down. Oh, all right, there we go. All right, there we go. I got the shot.
And leave it to Gronk. He's now inside the dome.